I'd already tried coaching young people at 17 and I said, never, ever again. I hated it again. It's good money, but that's what I've been doing up until this point, just earning money month by month. Obviously, to us, £15, £20 an hour was a lot because we was just getting paid as individuals. But now we're going in and we're selling a service as an organisation. Scared to say how much we want to charge you. What are they going to say?
Welcome to Evolve and Inspire, a podcast that proves success isn't about where you start, but where you decide to go. I'm your host, Huzaifa, and each episode we bring you raw, unfiltered conversations with remarkable individuals who've defied the odds, broken through barriers, and transformed their circumstances. From humble beginnings to extraordinary achievements, our guests share their journeys of resilience, determination, and unwavering spirit. These aren't just success stories. They're blueprints of possibility, showing that your background doesn't define your future. Whether you're starting from scratch, facing obstacles, or seeking inspiration to take that next bold step, you're in the right place. Together, we'll explore the mindsets and pivotal moments that turn adversity into advantage. So join me as we uncover stories that prove that with the right mindset and determination, anyone can evolve beyond their circumstances and inspire others along the way. This is Evolve and Inspire. Let's begin. Today we're welcoming Callum Foundations for the Future, which is a CIC that predominantly works in Birmingham. And we're going to learn a bit more about what it does, how they help the youth, and Callum's journey in all of this. Callum, welcome to the Evolve and Inspire podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you. Just got back from visiting Dubai, seeing your lovely self out there.
How was your trip?
It was very nice, to be honest. I just went alone, quick solo one, in and out. Journey for me, the planes, not a fan. But coming back, I didn't sleep all night. Had a plane at 7 a.m, so I slept for 5 hours. So that was the best journey I've ever had.
Serious?
Yeah, slept it out.
You don't sleep on the plane?
Yeah, slept it out. So they woke me up for food. I said, no, thank you.
I always try to book night flights just so, and I think obviously having a little one as well, I try to do night flights because then she can sleep when she kind of wants to cooperate. To be honest with you, she's been good all our journey so far, but I like night flights because you don't really lose any of your time, and then when you arrive in your destination, like Dubai for example, it's early morning, so.
Yeah, I haven't took the little ones away yet.
Oh, you haven't taken them yet?
No, daughter's 2, son's 1. Because I don't like flying, I think I've pushed it onto them thinking they'll hate it. Yeah. And in my mind, I've made it into this big situation of 2 kids on the plane, 8 hours. It's going to be a disaster. And you know yourself, wants to start walking. She doesn't want to sit still for longer than 30 seconds. So I was imagining how it's going to go, but inshallah, next time, I said I'm definitely taking them.
Let's start with your background.
So I grew up literally a mile away, classed as Erdington, a road called Hawkshire Road. So for me, I always say I would never ever change my upbringing. I haven't got one of them stories where it was a hard upbringing, poverty, all this. I come from a very nice family, alhamdulillah. Mum and dad worked, but the area itself was the main thing for me growing up that I loved. We had about 30 of us who all lived within 500 yards of each other, knocking on each other's houses, BMXs, heads and volleys till the street lights come on. So my upbringing, I loved. And although Erdington has this negative stigma attached to if you grew up in Erdington, you're a certain way, X, Y, Z. The way I grew up would not change. But I don't think I would want to grow up in Erdington nowadays. So for me, it was like very nice upbringing, enjoyed it down the road, and I've sort of just stayed in Erdington. I'm still living in Erdington now. Friday though, as you know, I make the move to Manchester, so I'm finally spreading my wings. But yeah, it was a very nice upbringing. Went to school in Erdington, so my whole life has sort of revolved around Erdington. But very good upbringing, childhood. I can't complain, so I wouldn't change it. And I think today it's sad that the young people, and this is the reason why we do our work for them, I don't think they'll ever experience what we experienced when we was younger.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think like there weren't many cars on the road them days, so like you could play Kirby's and heads on volley, 60 seconds we used to call it, and you can stay out and actually do that, not necessarily needing to go to a park or anything like that, and you're just outside. And it's insane because like we never had technology, but when we were growing up and we used to get together to go to like just anywhere to go play football or whatever, it used to be a case of at 1 o'clock, if Zohor's at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, we'd meet on the bus and then you'd go together from there. But if you somehow miss that, then you've got to kind of figure out where they would have gone.
Got to find them.
Yeah, you got to find them, and it's so nice, but because like you were able to do that as children, as kids in the UK then, but now with my daughter, I don't think I'd let her go anywhere alone, because it's just not safe. It's not even like someone of that age. It's just for anyone really.
I think
it's not safe anymore.
In general, like you're saying, the whole where I live now myself, I'm not scared to go to shop down the road, but when I have to go to shop down the road, I'm just like, this could be an incident, or someone could be down there, like a druggie or a gang member. And like, it gives you all these second thoughts, even where you're going with your family. So as you know yourself, in and around here, when my wife goes to the shop, or I go to the shop and get out of the car, I have to have my wife lock the doors, and nothing's ever happened up to this point, but it's just living like that for me is like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you live in fear.
Yeah.
Even it's a bit weird because we've grown up in this area, so we're not in particularly living in fear because we know everyone in and around us as a community, etc. I think obviously you spent time in Dubai now a couple of times, and there's a different world out there. There's a completely different world out there where you don't accept the things that we've accepted in the UK. We realise we don't really necessarily have to accept. Like, you buy a house in the UK, you got to go get a Ring camera, CCTV. You buy a car, you got to get a ghost lock, things like that. Whereas there, you leave your house open, it doesn't really matter. No one is coming to cause you any distress or anything like that.
And you've said that on Friday when I moved, my first port of call is the Ring doorbell, and we're going to fit CCTV on the house. So when I'm not there, I can access CCTV on my phone of the evening. And I'm moving house, and my first thought is, I need this security. I've even thought about, because we're going to have like patio doors, do I need to get someone to come and put extra locks on the doors, safer locks on the doors? And when I'm moving, I'm thinking, how is it right that I'm having to think like that rather than the nice stuff? I'm having to think first and foremost of the security stuff.
Yeah.
And then the secondary stuff is like the decorations of the house, X, Y, Z. When I got a new car, like you're saying, first thing I done when I got my new car was took it to the garage to get ghost.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I have this car in Erdington on my drive, it's a matter of time before someone either takes it or tries to take it, and it just creates a situation.
And that's it. I think it's the fact that, like, I know someone that had their car taken off their drive, and it's like, it's not the inconvenience of the car going or anything like that. It's the fact that someone's thought it's okay to come to your safe space, into your home. Like, he had a daughter and his wife upstairs, and they were asleep. And it's just the fact that someone's been in my house where it's my safe space. And it's just unfortunate that we live in that kind of environment at the moment.
And I think this is why, for me personally, my eventual aim, which we may get into later and we've spoke about, is to leave this behind, this society and this country, because of them reasons. And I feel like, yes, it's the government and X, Y, Z, but I also feel like the community is not a community no more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Back in the day, if something was happening on the street, all the neighbours would be involved. The neighbours wouldn't let certain things happen on the road. They'd all be in it together sort of thing. Now, it's, if it isn't my business, I'm not getting involved. And even if someone's attacking you over the road, I'm not getting involved. And I think that whole community aspect's gone. And it's allowed a lot of things now to seep into the communities, and it's opened a lot of gaps for people to come in and do whatever they're doing in the communities. And everyone's just, you know what, I'm going to mind my own business and I'm going to keep it moving.
It's true, that is true.
How are you at all?
So you know what, like I said, so growing up, obviously I had, my dad was really, really strict on me in terms of, like, he would always reiterate respect. If I hear about you being cheeky, again, to the neighbours, if any of the neighbours come and knock the house about you, you're in trouble. If the school ring me, you're in trouble. I'll hear your version of it after. Why are they even ringing me at first? That real old school mentality, to be honest. He doesn't want his son being tarnished in a certain way. As you know, when you're raising a child, you want that child's reputation. It's sort of, it's your reputation in a sense. So at school, I would say I was mischievous. So I wasn't a bad, like, misbehaving child in terms of getting excluded all the time,
Yeah,
X, Y, Z. I enjoyed like the adrenaline of getting into trouble, but trying to be clever and not overstep the mark. So it was a lot of like, primary school was a breeze. I got through primary school. You're a kid, and this is another thing nowadays. I'm seeing a lot of misbehaviour in primary schools. When I was in primary school, I was just worried about my Pokemon cards, playing football. Is my mum bringing my scooter to school so I can ride it? I was a proper child. And even in early years of secondary school, I would say, me personally, up until about year 9, I was still kind of a child. You know, nowadays they grow up pretty fast, and year 10 and 11 really is where I really started to obviously get a group of friends, misbehave, get involved in certain things, started to be allowed out on my own, on the streets, allowed more of a radius away from my house. So my friends who lives in different parts of Erdington, I could go to their house now, being introduced to different things. And having that natural, I'm probably like yourself, it was more of a natural, like, how do I say it, like natural inkling to just be mischievous. That little adrenaline you get when you've done something, you got to run away, even like knocked over run. And you enjoy that adrenaline, like if someone coming, they're coming. And so I'd say I was mischievous in school. And then obviously when I was in year 11, I had a big moment in my life where my parents split up. And that knocked me for 6. So sort of just mischievous up until that point, focusing on my dad, not finding out. My mum would like get rang from the school, and you know how mums are, not really tell you that. And then when they split up, I was in year 11. So I was actually, academically, I was very strong, especially in maths. In maths, I was pretty good A-star. I loved numbers, messing with numbers, calculations, working. I enjoyed that. English, not so much, but maths was my thing. In year 11, I just took a tumble in all my academics. In school, I was going into lessons and just putting both headphones in, sitting and feeling sorry for myself in a sense, because my dad moved out the house, wasn't living at home no more, had just my mum. So it's such a different dynamic. I wasn't waking up with dad getting ready to go work, dad coming home from work. It was just my mum. Then obviously my mum's going through a divorce, so she's maybe not herself. And then I sort of just realised, well, I haven't really got a leash anymore in a sense. It's just my mum.
How long did this phase last for you?
Longer than it should have. So that, I would say that lasted, never actually dealt with that breakup. So I would say the trauma of it and what I was dealing with internally, I used that as an excuse, and maybe even subconsciously it was still with me until about my early 20s, when I finally realised the way I'm living isn't in line with where I want to get to in life. And I sort of had to do a self-evaluation. Growing up, what does every lad want to be?
Footballer.
So I've got this in my head, I'm going to be a footballer. Not as good as people my age growing up. So I'm much better at football now than I ever was as a youngster. So as a youngster, my dad used to take me training every week, Sunday league, So I always had in my head, I'm going to be a footballer, And obviously knew people my age who was in academies, playing football, So I think I slowly began to become to the realisation, I don't think I'm at that level because I'm not at an academy yet. I'm not X, Y, Z. So that was sort of the only thing. As growing up, every lad is, I want to be a footballer. And after that age, and this is where I speak to a lot of young people now, like, it's okay not to have an ambition at that age, because whatever your ambition is, it may just change drastically anyway. Your interest when you was 15 may dramatically change by the time you're 20 years old. But it is good to have some sort of ambition, and this is what I say, because the destination can change, but the habits could remain the same, and it'll just change where you're ending up. So I never had any, I would say, honestly, after the breakup, especially with my parents, it was just a case of floating through each day. Some days I couldn't even tell you what happened. I'm just floating through, honestly, floating through, doing whatever, going out with my friends, messing around. I'll do anything, really.
At what point then did you think that, okay, I need to do something, and what was your ambition at that point?
So after school, I still went to college, struggled in college, but passed. So I've done sports coaching in college, level 2 and level 3. And then I've always worked. So I've always had in me like a bit of a work ethic. I need to work. It comes from my dad. My dad used to take me to work when I was like 14. And I'd go on the weekends with him or school holidays. I'd go and help him with his job. He'd take me. When I left school, I was working again part-time with my dad while I was at college. Then I left that. In between jobs. So I remember I had one job. The worst job in the world, whatever you imagine the worst job to be, this is worse. I used to have to wake up at around 2 or 3 a.m. We'd go into Tesco stores and we'd count the whole stock. So we'd have a team of us, and they'd try and do it before the customers start coming in throughout the day. So we'd have to start about 3 a.m. in the morning, and you literally go down every aisle. You have your aisles, you separate up, and you scan how many of them in it. So it's a stock count for Tesco. Had that job, then went into security. So I always had a work ethic, but mainly just for money.
Yeah.
You know, a bit growing up, 18, 19, I was starting to go out, starting to go independently with my friends to places, want to end up driving, whatever it is. So I wanted money at that age, so I'd just work.
Yeah.
But there was no end goal with the jobs. It was just, it's to get money for now or this month.
Yeah.
And then next month I'll do it again. And next month. There was no actual thought process behind why am I doing the jobs I'm doing. Then it got to around, I think I was around 22 years old. So I'd already tried coaching young people at 17. And I said, never, ever again. I'd done a summer camp, a football summer camp, and I hated it again because of myself at 17 and where my mindset was. And I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't giving my best to the young people. I didn't know how to communicate with young people. It was just an opportunity I got.
Yeah.
So I'd done that summer camp and I really disliked it. And I said, I'm not working with young people. Like, young people's not for me.
Yeah.
Left it a few years, and then I ended up getting an opportunity. One of my friends, his uncle was expanding into Birmingham with like a coaching company.
Okay.
So he had an opportunity of part-time hours within a school. And at the same time, I'd applied for Jaguar Land Rover.
Right.
So now it was a toss-up, and I passed my assessment at Jaguar Land Rover, and I had my start date ready to start Jaguar Land Rover. Or I had this part-time job in a school, and luckily for me, I balanced it out. And obviously I had this conversation, I think with my dad at the time. When I explained to him I probably wasn't going to go for Jaguar Land Rover, he could not believe it.
Yeah.
He saw it, old school mentality, secure job, really good pay at the time, contract, Jaguar Land Rover, big opportunity. But for me, it was like, where am I going to get to?
Yeah.
I'm probably just going to go work on that line as another 1,000th person. If they can sack me, they'll replace. You pass away, they'll replace you.
Yeah.
You get ill, they'll replace you. Like, you're just expendable to these organisations. And I started to kind of begin at that age. This is when I was doing a bit of self-reflection, looking deeper into things. Obviously, make one too late. I started looking into like religion, looking at self-worth, looking at all that type of stuff. And I was like, Jaguar Land Rover. It's good money, but that's what I've been doing up until this point, just earning money month by month. Or I can go into the part-time thing and hopefully it grows into something for me. Not necessarily an organisation like it did do, but just, you know what, I'm more self-employed, pick my working hours. I had this thing about, and again, it was probably my attitude at the time and, you know, a bit of ego. I didn't like a boss. You have to be here at this time. If you're late, why you're not answering to someone and you're sick and you got to think, can I ring up or am I just going to try and go and work? So I didn't like this, and I said to my dad, listen, I'm going to take the part-time. And I think at the time my dad thought, my son's lost the plot. He's insane. That's it. I've lost him. I think genuinely, he probably thought I've lost him. He's lost the plot. So I took the part-time in the school, me, and then Aaron, my business partner, also my friend from year 7 in secondary school. They had some more hours, so he was working at the same place as me for this company. So we both worked in the same place together. So me and Aaron's friends from year 7 all through secondary school. Obviously, we weren't as close as we became because Aaron was obviously in an academy, wasn't in school as much. He'd get his nice days off to be at the academy or go and play his tournaments or whatever. But then I'd say from around when we left school, we actually got really close, started being around each other more. We knew each other a while, so we ended up working at the same place together.
And then when did you decide to make this leap of creating foundations for the future?
It became apparent that, you know what, the young people are sort of aligning with me and Aaron and they're taking note of what we say. So we ended up starting to get our own groups. So the main PE session would go on and then we'd get sort of the ones who can't integrate into the session, are struggling, and it was sort of like use have them, keep them at the lesson, do something with them. And we actually started doing really good sessions with them. So at the time we didn't know anything about mentoring, we just knew. We were sort of just naturally just working with these young people off our natural instincts, finding out a bit about them and then working with them, and they was really reciprocating what we were saying and taking it in. So we ended up starting to get our own groups, and then the head teacher at the time wasn't at the school, and then they come back to the school, and so when that head teacher come back, she's come in and she's sort of like, who are these 2 random guys in my PE department? I'm paying them, who are they? So me and Aaron had heard that she was asking about us. And obviously because we was together outside of work and inside work, we was having conversations and we was like, I reckon she's going to get rid of us because there's just 2 random guys in a school now and she's never heard of us, don't know who we are. And we found out she was asking about us, X, Y, Z. So one day we both got called into the office and we looked at each other like, this is the time. We've gone.
Yeah.
And to our surprise, she's called us in and she sat us down and she just said, I'd like to say, I feel like you two guys are the unsung heroes of the school. And we're looking at each other like that. She's like, obviously since I've come back, been watching your sessions, seen exactly what you should do, X, Y, Z, really impressed. She goes, have you ever tried mentoring? So me and I were like, well, no, not really. She goes, I think you'd be really good at it. It was coming up to half term. She goes, I'd like you to go away, put together your own role.
Yeah.
So some mentoring, some sports coaching like you're doing, create a full-time role and come back after half term and we'll start the roles. I mean, I'm like, no way, we've hit the jackpot. So we've done that, started mentoring, and it sort of just snowballed from there that we started mentoring. And because we was friends and we was together after work, we started creating programs for our young people. So the young people we was working with was really engaged with them. We really wanted to help them. So we'd research programs, we'd research mentoring, and we started to sort of create programs, create a little portfolio for them, create a folder. And luckily for us, we started to realise, you know what, it's not sustainable for the school to be paying us this full-time role.
Yeah.
So we clocked on quickly, like, this isn't going to be sustainable. This role is short-term, even though they haven't said it, we know it's got an end date pretty soon. So we sort of started just creating a program, and we got to the stage where we said, why are we just doing this for the cohort within one school? Why don't we start to try and push this out wider, get into other secondary schools or primary schools and start working with more young people? So we just refined the program, refined how it looked, refined sort of what the content would be. Yeah. And then, we created a program and we offered it for free to our old secondary school. And then luckily they said, by all means, come in and pilot it. Yeah. One of our old teachers helped us get in, went into there, piloted it. And at this time, so the in between this, the job went like we imagined. Yeah. And then Aaron was working at Aston Villa. And obviously I was doing the voluntary work for the organisation we just created. Yeah. And we were sharing Aaron's one wage. So, and this was early.
Was this 2017?
I'd say 2016, 2017, that sort of crossover. So how old would we have been then? About 8, 9 years ago. So about 23. Yeah. So you want money then. Yeah. So we took the risk of, and I was living with my friends. Yeah. So at this point I'd moved in with some friends and I was having to pay rent, gas, electric, food. But I said, you know what, this is something I'd rather try and fail and fall flat on my face and then apply for somewhere like Jaguar Land Rover again and get a job there. Or it's going to be a success and we're going to snowball. Yeah. So we were sharing Aaron's wage, which was probably we'd end up with 600-700 quid each a month. When you think that's got to stretch me, rent, gas, electric, food. My dad was still helping me out, to be honest. Still borrowing, giving it back on the never. Yeah, Dad, I'll give you the next month comes and I say, I'll give you back next month, or I need a bit more, then I'll give you all back at once. But my dad was still supporting me early 20s, so still helping me. He was probably thinking at the time I told him not to. I should have went Jaguar Land Rover.
Was him being there as like your support system extremely important for you in the sense that had he not been there to support you, whether it's financially, you might have packed this in a long time ago?
As a male, I'd say you'll find a way. Yeah. So I may have started trying to seek making money by other means, which wouldn't have been the best for me, and then could have jeopardised the business. Yeah. So I'd say having my dad there was a massive, massive support because it was someone I could lean on. Yeah. At times, I knew like I'm being a bit of a burden. Yeah. But at the same time, you think it's my dad. Yeah. So having that was massive for me, and it allowed me probably to be a bit more comfortable than I otherwise would have been. It allowed me to I need help with that. And this is another reason with the organisation why positive role models is so important, or having a support system in your life. It doesn't have to be a parent. Yeah. It can be anyone that you've got a support system in your life with who can support you. And it's not even just always tangible assets, money or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just a conversation. Sometimes it's just a bit of positive affirmation saying, come on, keep pushing, or whatever it is. So for me, having that, and luckily a friend group who was they're very similar minded. So when we'd sit around and have conversations on the evenings, they're not in the back here going, this is not going to work, or I don't think that's any good, or they're supporting, saying, I reckon you'll smash it. I reckon this, even throwing ideas around with us and giving us some feedback about things, and we'd ask them questions, they give us feedback. But for me, I think you have to have a support system, and if you could end up dealing with so much yourself, that you may not realise at the time, it's detrimental to sort of your growth. As I realised when I was younger, everything I had to unpick as I was growing up was from back when I was 15, 16, 17, that I didn't even realise. It just built up subconsciously. And I was maybe acting out, getting into situations or whatever it was, because internally all this stuff was going on and I was either ignoring it or just didn't even know it was there. And then I had to unpick that as I grew up. And then, it allowed me. But I feel like that also gave me the resilience I needed to start an organisation. That bit of, you have to go through tough times.
Out of your comfort zone.
You have to come outside your comfort zone, because if I'm always comfortable, and there would be times when my dad would say no, I feel like he knew the right times when I needed support and when I needed a bit of do it on your own. Then you'll come to me, but you're going to find out the hard way first. And I feel like having that builds that resilience that, as you know, you need for business, because there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be amazing points, and there's going to be points when you think, why am I doing this, or this is too hard, or whatever it is. But it's about having that resilience within yourself to keep pushing, to keep going.
So after you went back to your old school, you did your pilot. How did Foundation for the Future grow?
So we piloted it and we had some real good success. And what I will say is that first ever cohort we had, to this day, they are one of the best cohorts I've ever worked with. It was just like they fitted like a glove for us and where we was. And obviously our story of we used to come to this school, that really resonated with us. They was really receptive towards us. I had that, so I really resonated with them, and it was a real success. So we made some real big impact, and the school really liked the idea, and one of the deputy heads really liked what he saw from us and really enjoyed sort of the work we'd done. And then at the end of the year, obviously, I'd never had the conversation. Or was it? I think it might have been. Was it me or Aaron who had the conversation? Anyway, we'd never had the conversation. So the awkward part come where we now have to ask, are you renewing? And you got to pay? Or can't be free forever. And because we'd never had that business transaction, how much is it? How many hours do we need to do? We didn't know none of it. So we was going in a bit scared to say how much we want to charge you, because obviously to us £15-20 an hour was a lot, because we was just getting paid as individuals. But now we're going in and we're selling a service as an organisation. You're pricing for that. So when we're going in, we're asking for a certain amount per hour. It was a bit daunting at first, what are they going to say? And luckily, he really admired the work we'd done. He saw the potential in us, and he signed our first ever service level agreement for a year long. So we was buzzing. We had a year-long contract now for next year in that school, and then we targeted the school sort of up the road, Edmund Campion, and it all just started to, as we got more work, I was going to both schools. Then Aaron was eventually allowed to come and work as well, because there was enough work to stop working at Villa to come over, and it naturally just grew from there.
How many staff members do you have now?
So we are currently at, I think day to day, we have around 17 staff members, who are out and about in the daytime. So we have a management team. It's been so we've been very careful not to run before we can walk. So there is actually been times where we've turned down work. And we've turned down opportunities because we feel like the foundation wasn't there, or we wasn't in the right position to take that opportunity. Because our reputation means everything to us. We've built this now for 8 years, and we understood from the very beginning, your reputation is everything. Word of mouth is everything. Once you are in a sector like yourself, within your sector, if you all of a sudden people start having bad experiences with you, you're not going to get them referrals that you've never heard of before, who just approach you randomly. So we've been very careful just to gradually grow. So it took us 8 years. So what's that on average? About 2 staff members a year. This year has been quite a big influx, but infrastructure-wise, we've grown the most. We've created a management, then we've got our mentors, now we've got apprentices. So we've created a structure that allows the business to flourish and doesn't solely rely on me. We have a business relationship manager, Jamie Ashmore, and then we had a head of staff performance who's just left, Talib. So all these guys, we work together as a team to mould the organisation. And obviously, if I'm not there today, I know Luke and Jamie, and if Aaron's not there, we know the business is still in operation, whereas before it was solely on us. So we've just been very careful to organically grow it rather than try and chase quick money and think, oh, that's a nice contract. Let's take that, mess it up. And then our reputation goes along with it. We've been very careful to say, yep, that works for us. No, that doesn't work for us. And so now we're up to 17 a day who are out in different schools, different parts of the city. And then obviously we have the management team in the office. I will say the aim is nationwide. And again, no, very careful to how we get nationwide. So we could potentially start marketing now in 10 cities and get 10 schools. But we don't have mentors. We don't know the target audience. We don't know the complexities. We don't know the communities. So we'd be going in blind just for the sake of earning extra money. We all have a first impression of someone, whether we mean to or not. As soon as someone walks in a room, how they're dressed, how they walk, how they talk, everything, you create a first impression in your mind. And it might be subconscious. So with young people, they'll do that. And usually with our mentors, as soon as the mentor walks in the room, they look and think, they're a bit different. They're not like the usual school staff, or they're not. So it sort of the barrier's kind of gone already. And then they hear us speak and we sort of speak like them. We have similar views to them. We understand the demographic they've come from. So they might say certain areas and we're like, oh yeah, what about this? Do you go to this shop? Do you eat in this? Family members, we may know family members. So it knocks down a lot of the initial barriers that are already there with young people. And then it's having that understanding of the complexities they've faced, the barriers they face going forward, understanding, you know, as well. Young people will try and pull the wool over your eyes. So there's times when they tell us this and we say, come on. We've grown up around it. We know it doesn't work like that, or that didn't happen. That didn't happen, or whatever it is. It's allowed us to have a lot more of a closer relationship with the young people, an organic relationship. So we're not, and this is why I talk about going nationwide. We don't want to force relationships with young people and start guessing what their complexities are, what the solutions are, just for the sake of work. We want to first in Birmingham really refine what we do, become specialists in what we do. We are verified by Provisions Plus, so they quality assure all our documents, all our policies. They come in and they look at our practices and they're quality assured to our Ofsted standard. And we're also on the verge of becoming training providers. So it's not going to be just about training our staff in-house. We want to train other organisations, staff members, do CPD training, really become the sort of specialist within the area and pass on that information, because it's not just about our organisation. We can't help every young person. We want to ensure that the whole industry is at a good enough level to help as many young people as possible. So within the next year or two, hoping we stay on the same trajectory, we'll be where we want to be and really be specialists. And that will allow us then to spread our wings a bit further, because we've got all our practices and policies in place, and it'd just be about using that blueprint to then expand. So I'm moving to Manchester. So Manchester might be the next stopping point, because I'll actually be there physically. I can interview them, I can do everything. What we're careful not to do is just employ people, say over Zoom or whatever, and it becomes difficult to actually manage.
I think it's important for personalities as well. How hard have you found recruitment?
Recruitment. So different ways. So we've tried like you just said, it's about having the relatability. That is very key within the sector. But the problem we've got is, so let me even just speak about myself firstly. Myself running a business, I've never studied business. Academically, in school, obviously I switched off for my last 2 years, which is probably most important. College, I didn't really pay attention. So academically, myself, I've been learning on the job with the business, and it's took for mistakes to happen. I've just been learning as I go, really, and then finding support from other avenues. So the business has been growing off 2 people, me and Aaron both. None of us have studied business. We've learned on the job. We've made mistakes. We've figured out how can we rectify those mistakes? What can we do going forward? We've had to do our own research, watch our own videos, speak to like-minded people. The amount of times I've spoke to yourself, learnt on yourself about certain situations because I'm not sure. So we've had to do that ourselves. And then we went down the route of hiring staff who are solely just relatable, and we get them the qualification. So when they're with us, we put them on the qualification. It had its advantages and its disadvantages. So the advantage was on the ground, that was amazing. With the young people, that was amazing. But sometimes the business side of things is where they would struggle. Basic being on time. How to, because we're working with professionals in a school, how to conduct yourself at all times, how to not react to certain situations. And we've moved into now a lot of data reporting, paperwork, giving a lot of stuff back to the school So academically now our staff have to be quite strong because we are giving feedback and reports and session trackers and evaluations. We're giving these back to professionals who have gone to university or XYZ. So our staff now have to be at a certain level academically. So that's why we've created a partnership with Birmingham City University, and we're doing work placement for some of their students who are sort of studying what we do within uni and taking them on. And we've taken one on full time who will be working with us. So we need, at the moment, it's both sides of the coin. You know yourself, we can, if you're really strong in one area, we will help you grow in the other area. But you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to come out of your comfort zone as a staff member. It can't be, I'm just relatable, that's enough. Because with all the evidence we need to give back to the schools and to whoever we're working with, you have to be able to do the other side of the job now. And this is where we've struggled, that some of our staff have really embraced it and said, and learned and gone with us and grown with us. So we put all our staff on like level 3 gangs and youth violence course. So they've all got a certain level of knowledge. They've got a knowledge base. We spoke about maths and English maybe for some of them, just to get them up to the level we want them to be at. But the staffing will be staff. Humans are humans. Like, humans are humans. You can't control everything about a person, especially our job. It's very independent. You're out in a school on your own. We're relying on you being on time. We're relying on you seeing all the cohort you need to see. We're relying on you having the good relationships with the staff members in the school. We pop in every now and then, but day to day, you're representing Foundations for the Future. And it's been about how do we employ and train you to the standard that upholds what we've built. Because before it was me, Aaron, Luke going into schools. And because we'd been there from the very start, we had that sort of passion and understanding for the organisation that we're delivering at this level. And as you know, when it's your own organisation, you're giving it your all. But what we have to remember is with staff members, it's not their organisation. So that's why we try and look for characteristics. You have to have the right characteristics. You have to want to be on time for your own self-respect. You have to want to work hard. It's in your nature. Because as much as we can train you and give it, and we had this conversation the other day about training people, as much as you can put them through all the training, give them all the qualifications, tell them all about your organisation, if they haven't got the right characteristics, and if you haven't got them over a period of time, it will start to show. And we've had a lot where schools haven't been sure about staff members, so we've had to replace staff members. So now it's just about, when you apply, what we look for. So before it was more about just relatability. Now it's, we want a balance of, okay, yes, we want you to be relatable, but we also want you to be quite academically strong as well, or willing to really work on it. And we will support you as an organisation and help with your growth.
So you work with a lot, you're very different in terms of Foundations for the Future is very different to other companies that go out and help in schools, like doing coaching. Because I think a lot of it is based around sport, but with yours is more focused on mentoring. So what is the aim of your organisation for these kids? What do you want to help them achieve?
So for us, I always say is we want them to seek success in their own way. So success to them could be getting a 9 to 5. Success for them could be having their own organisation. Whatever success is your version of success, I want you to get to a level where you want to seek that, you want the best for yourself. So we want to give them all the tools, give them the platform, give them the information to grow. Now, whether they choose to use that information or not is completely up to them. So call it planting the seed. You plant the seed, you never know when it's going to blossom. Some young people, within a week or two, they're starting to make changes. They're there. Some young people, I've been on our cohort for 3 years. And we're like, come on, do you remember me? I'm doing X, Y, Z now. Remember what you told me? I'm like, where were you for 3 years? And you didn't show any signs. And that's our aim, is for us to, as mentors, to educate ourselves to the best possible way we can, get to the highest level we can, and just give the correct information, give the correct tools, so we give them a chance that in this big wide world that's full of opportunities, we give them the tools to go out and be successful in whichever way they can. And again, deal with things that they need to deal with, whether that's internally or externally, how to navigate your way around this world, because you will have situations that you're in, you will have things that you go through that you need to work on, but we're just going to give you all the tools to navigate your way through all these things that you're going to go through in life.
So you've been going for 8 years now. Can you share a particular story of a transformation that really moved you?
The whole reason for what we do is we want young people I want sort of to knock the negative stigma off of them and where they come from, what they can achieve of where they come from, what the opportunities are where they come from. So as you know, areas where we come from, there's normally a stigma attached of you're either going to do X, Y, Z, or you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And the young people they can't think outside the box without people like us to be able to say, look, this is actually what you can achieve. This is what the world's got for you.
Yeah.
Like yourself, for example, the amount of people maybe who can't think it's implausible to move out to Dubai.
Yeah.
And when you actually sit down and you plan it with them, they say, oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Probably like myself, when I had the conversation, I'm saying, asking you questions, I'm like, you know what, that is actually like,
Achievable.
that could work.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the same concept with the young people saying, look, this is where you can be. Forget everyone else around you. Sometimes even forget your family.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to break generational cycles.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like I've done that in my family.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of need to do that from these areas. Otherwise, you just continue, everyone continues the same, living the same. So we had one young person really struggling in secondary school, on the cusp of getting kicked out.
Yeah.
Basically, didn't like the thought of school, only liked really going to chill with the friends, basically, which I get because that was me sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, then how do we give this young person some encouragement? How do we give them some inspiration? How do we get them thinking, okay, it's not about school.
Yeah.
It's about the tools it gives you.
Yeah.
For going forward. Teacher, look at it as that's a source of information that you need. Get the information because it's vital to you. Take it. It's not about whether you like the teacher or not. That's here or there. Doesn't matter. And take it with you. So we had one. I'll be honest, she never really actually got better in school. I'm not going to lie to you. She didn't get, I think she just wasn't there with school. She'd turn up at 10:30 when she wants. One of them ones. So anyway, we sort of helped her. After she left school, we helped her get into there. She was doing some coaching, and then we had an opportunity available for some coaching in primary school. So we got in touch and we said, look, we know your characteristics. We love your characteristics. Obviously, we get school isn't for everybody. We've got an opportunity for you. Do you want to come and do some coaching? And that school liked her so much when she was working for us that they actually took her on full-time from us in a school sector. So it's funny, and this is what I mean. When you look at inspiration and breaking cycles, you can go from hating an environment such as school to you're now working in a school. Yeah. And in her mind, probably when she was in year 10 and we was working with her, she wouldn't even been able to fathom that in her mind, that this could happen. Well, I can work in a school. Like, to her, that's probably you have to go there and my family's not got the money for uni. Yeah. So for me, that's one of the biggest ones because we saw her transformation from sort of student who was really disengaged, not interested in school, didn't like school, to then going on to working in a school full time and the school actually approaching her because she's so good at her job for us to work full time for them. And I think for us, that's the whole concept of what we want. We want the holistic approach of, and that's why we now do apprenticeships and work placements. We love the idea of, we've given you the skills to go into the big wide world. And if we can, we're going to give you the opportunity in the big wide world, or we're going to use one of our partnerships to give you that opportunity. And then again, it just creates opportunities for them that they may have never even tried to seek.
Do you think there's enough opportunities out there?
I feel like there is, but I feel like in here is where a lot of people struggle. Yeah. It's not that the opportunities are not there, it's that they believe the opportunities are not there. Yeah. It's sort of that prisoner of your own mind thing where, again, because you're from Handsworth, Aston, inner city, wherever it is, you don't believe certain opportunities are available to you. I would never have believed I could have my organisation, ever. It's only the way it sort of happened bit by bit that we now, I'm a fully fledged owner of an organisation with 17 staff members. Yeah. And if you would have told me that when I was 15, I'd have been like, what are you on about? I'm just going to be fitting cameras like my dad or fitting alarms. I'm going to just be doing a 9 to 5. And I feel like that's one of our massive things, like I touched on, is we want to put young people in a headspace of, I can do anything I want to do. And I know it's
about changing the mindset.
Yeah. And I know it sounds cheesy, but you literally, why can't you? Why can't you? You're the only person. Everyone is human. Yeah. Yes, some people excel in certain areas and other people don't excel. But you can study, you can grow. You've got access nowadays, the internet. Yeah. You can learn. Me personally, I've learned so much off the internet. Yeah. So much off apps you can get. You can audio books, business people.
YouTube.
You can go on all this and you can start to actually educate yourself. And I think it's down to your mindset and what you want to do. Life, nothing is going to come easy. And if it does come easy, question it.
Yeah.
That's my advice. If it comes easy, question it.
Yeah.
Or if it comes easy, there's always going to be tough times in whatever you do.
A lot of people will look at social media, especially now, and businesses, and they think that these businesses have just grown overnight and look how well they're doing, but they don't realize the struggle that it has been to get you from there to there, the setbacks that you've had, things that you had to get out of your comfort zone to do, all of that. People don't see that. You mentioned that school isn't for everyone. What do you mean by that?
So I feel like academics and sitting down for 1 hour and having an authoritarian over you telling you the rules, this is it, that we're all human. Everyone works in different ways. Even as adults now, there's certain things that I'm more receptive to and there's other things I'm not as receptive to. And that's me as an adult who I feel like is very self-aware of myself now. Yeah. And even though sometimes I try to be very receptive in things that I'm not, it's still a struggle. Yeah. I think for young people, they're not all going to be academically strong. They're all not going to be good at maths, English and science. Yeah. And what I say to young people is at the end of the day, you're in the school system from 4 years old until you're 16, let's say. That's a 12-year gap in your life. Do not use 12 years of your life messing around and wasting it. Leave in year 11 and say, you know what, at least I got something from it, whether it's the discipline, whether it's the grades, whether it's the relationships, whatever you get, take something from the 12 years because you have to be in education in some way or form, regardless. Yeah. So make it benefit you. And I think this is the thing with young people. I try to get them in the mindset of make it beneficial for you. So forget thinking, oh, I'm doing it for the teachers, I'm doing it for the head teacher, I'm doing it because I have to. Try and get in the mindset of, you know what, no, I'm doing it for myself. Yeah. But I also get the flip side to that. It's very hard to get in that mind space at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. I don't think I could have. Yeah. So it's that balancing act of delivering the message in the correct way that they take it on, but also understanding that, you know what, they can't even imagine when they're 20, 25 or married like us or have children like, because I always say, if I could go back in time now, I promise you I'd be at the front of every class and I'd be the first one there. Yeah. Not because I love maths, English and science, but because of everything that would have gave me and all the knowledge. I'd be taking as much knowledge as I can, setting me up for where I want to go. Yeah. So I say to you, I go to the gym 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, but I'm really thin and I got no muscle. Yeah. You'd say, what are you doing at the gym? Yeah. If you said, oh, just go there, sit there, you'd say, why are you wasting your time? Yeah. And it's like school, make it worth your while, but I think it's down to us as adults to, rather than just being an authority and demanding, you must sit there, you must do this, let's treat them like humans and say, look, this is the reason why. This is why it's beneficial for you. This is how it can help you. You don't like it? I completely understand your point of view. Listen to them, hear what they've got to say. Don't dismiss what they've got to say and work with them to get the best out of their school life. And I think that's where maybe the school system goes wrong. And again, it comes down to individuals and teachers probably. I get teachers, it's a struggle to have time to focus on all individuals. But actually work with the young people to make their experience the best, not just because I told you to. And because in school, that was my biggest thing.
Yeah, so some people are receptive to that kind of authority, and a lot of people, especially from our background, probably in this generation now, probably not. I think school does fail people because it may need a cultural change within the schooling system because everything's just focused on grades. And even the grades, like you might get certain individuals that are really smart, but they're not good when it comes to doing an exam, but they're still smart. So once they leave school, they don't have the grades necessary. It kind of becomes a bit of a dinosaur spiral. But then you've got other people that are not going to be very good at school, but they're going to be a very good plumber, a very good electrician, a very good bricklayer. And there's nothing wrong with them kind of careers because if you really think about it, if someone leaves school at 16 and becomes a bricklayer, and by the time you just started your career, whereas this person that's a bricklayer and things like that, they're chilling. Because their earning potentials are very high as well. Because these kind of jobs are looked down upon, it fails certain people in school. There's people out of school that don't have grades that come out and be very successful.
And I think I just want to touch on what you said. What is smart? Yeah. So and again, I think this is where the school system maybe puts everyone into one box because there's probably people in school that I went to school with who got A's and A stars in all their grades, But then when it comes to running an organisation, they can't, because they don't understand how to work with a team. They don't understand recruitment.
How do you think that running foundations for the future changed, or has it not changed you as a person?
I would say as a person, it changed me. It's forced me, as we said, to come out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Where, because it's my organisation and I'm representing it, the way I am, and when I speak to people and the knowledge I have and the understanding I have the sector I'm working in, I've had to continuously learn all this. And in turn, I feel like as a person, it's then became my personality. That again, like I said, coming back to religion, I found religion because my personality sort of went into, I want to look into everything. I want to research things. I want to find answers. And that in my personal life, that affected my personal life and my research. Having a child now, I'm obsessed with how to raise children, looking at what they should be eating, looking at, behaviors, looking at emotional intelligence, what they need. It's fed into my personality now that, and probably like yourself, that when you have a business, your character within your business will mold you into your person, and your characteristics will become that. And like now with tasks at home, once I start something, I can't stop until I'm done. And it's sort of fed into my personality and helped me grow as a person, become more humble as well. I think when you're younger, 16, 17, you think you know everything, you're the cool kid, you dress the best, whatever it is. The humility that comes from it as well, that you grow and you realise there's so much more for me to develop when I'm looking at other people, even people around me. This is the level. And my level's still down there. So I need to continuously be on that path of improvement.
Yeah, I think it is like sometimes you get a lot of reality checks in life, especially in business. When I started my own practice, I was 18. And at that point, I had my own office and things like that. I thought I made it in life. I thought, yeah, this is me, we're good. But then you have certain setbacks and then you realize actually, you know what, there's a lot more to do. And I think the biggest thing, obviously we both is religion, and we know that everyone works hard, whoever is someone doing whatever job. People work hard. It's just that different people are blessed in a different way. And that's just the way it is. Risk is from Allah at the end of the day. But having said that, someone might look at someone that's got, £1 million, or then that's earning 20, 30 grand. They're so content with that 20, 30 grand. They've got so much barakah in that 20, 30 grand. It goes a long way. They're looking at where can I spend my money, or, things like that. And this person might not be able to, certain things. So I think this whole thing of people, like you said, how do you judge success? Success is different for everyone. What would you say is your ambition, and how would you judge success?
From a personal perspective, so my ambition is, I would say, to be honest, how life's changed the past few years, making sure my family is safe and secure is sort of priority, and my deen, top of that list. Being on my deen as strong as I can be, which will then, as we know, feed into other areas of my life. And the deen will help me with my family and what I need to be as a man and what my responsibilities are. And for me, it's not about becoming a millionaire. It's about having the time to fulfill my responsibilities as a husband and as a father to my family. And then as a Muslim, to be able to live in an Islamic country, inshallah, one day, and live a lifestyle that's around my deen. So like we spoke about, it's not about, can I find time to pray in my day? It's more, okay, these are my prayer times. This is my studying time. These are my times I'm going to work. And I think for me, my aim is to, one, eventually I want to be out of England, to be honest. We've spoke about that. Where that is, I'm not sure, but I just know I don't want to raise my children in this society. And it's just to have time to give to my religion and to my family. So money is a byproduct of, we need money in this society. But for me, it's not about, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have 10 million. I want to have a Lamborghini. Don't get me wrong. Everyone likes nice things. And if I can afford nice things, alhamdulillah, I'm happy. But the main thing for me is I have a beautiful wife who, raises the children at home, gives me everything I need as a husband. So it's about how do I then have that time as well to be the best husband I can be and father for my children, because like we spoke about, generations are different. We don't remember having a lot of time with my parents. And although my dad worked hard and my mum worked hard, and I got sort of presents and I got what I wanted in terms of trainers and track, I've understood now growing up with everything I've looked into, you can't beat time. And and spending time and understanding your children and being their support. I want to be my child's support network. I don't want them to have to find a mentor. I don't want them to have to role model. I want to be my family support network. And I think for me, that's the aim, to have the time that my family know I'm always there, I'm always accessible. And if I need a day off, I can have a day off. If I need an hour here, I can have an hour here. These little things like we spoke about, you took your daughter to the mall the other day while you worked?
Whilst I worked, yeah. Literally, I had a meeting. My wife took my daughter to the play area, and then I went to the play area. My wife went shopping on my credit card as usual, and then I just, I looked after her, and it just feels so nice that in the middle of a work day, got that flexibility to be able to do that. And it's like the thing I want different for my children, and it's not anything to do with my upbringing. Alhamdulillah, my upbringing was perfect. I can't fault my parents, my grandparents, or anything for any of my upbringing. But I'm at a stage in my life where I just want to be able to give I don't want to miss anything with my daughter. And for the last year or so since we moved, that's how it's felt. Any little milestones or anything like that, I don't miss. And I'm able to give her whatever, take her for a swim, take her, walks and things. Just things that don't even cost at times. And it's just nice. It's very nice.
I feel like this generation's become a lot more aware in that aspect. That time is a lot more valuable than presents or whatever it is, because like you're saying, you don't miss these little milestones, and your children then become connected to you. And for me, like when I was in Dubai, just like we're speaking about, my daughter's on the phone telling me how much she misses me. And it's just having that beautiful connection with your children that I think this generation has sort of become, in my opinion, seeing my friends and people I'm surrounded by who've got children, this generation, we've become a lot more aware that that means more than just going and working hard and coming back with a present after a hard day at work.
That's why I like the idea of homeschooling, because I don't think that you need to go 7 hours, 8 hours a day to school. I think 3 hours you should be able to learn what you need to learn. And with that, then that 3 hours, you've got a whole day to spend with your children to do whatever. And
generally, I think teaching, especially when it comes to Islam and things like that, you're teaching as you're doing things. Like you were saying, like you're putting your daughter to bed, you're reading the du'as with her whilst you're going. And just generally, like if you get in the car, you read the du'as with them, and that's how you teach.
The scene you praise on my daughter now, sometimes we'll just look to the side, she's praying on her own. And it's just through our actions, they're picking up their sponges, they're picking up, and like, as the sort of bread makers, we have to go out and work. So there's going to be times when we're not there. Alhamdulillah, for me, my wife has just been amazing in terms of shaping my children.
How important is it having your wife as your support network?
The most important thing in my life, I would say, to be honest.
Do you think that without having that strong backbone of your wife taking care of your home and your family, do you think without that you wouldn't have the success that you have now?
100%. She allows me to really hone in and focus on what I need to focus on. And there'll be times when I'm worrying about things at home and she says, don't worry about that. I've got that covered. The kids are okay, or whatever it is. You focus on what you need to focus on, or don't rush home, because there'll be times when I've had a long day and I want saying do what you need to do. And then obviously we're at home and just being able to have conversations, someone to open up to. I've never had that in my life. So someone I can open up to, really express myself to. My wife knows everything about me and how I'm feeling, good mood, bad mood. Obviously, as males, there's things that you don't take home. You just get on with. But in terms of your wife knows you better than anyone, so she knows when I'm not in the best of mood. She knows. And even it'll be doing little things that you enjoy, and the conversation doesn't even need to be had about what's wrong. It's just, here's your favourite food, or I know you like this, here's that. And it's just having that support network and knowing I've got someone to go home to that you love and you care for, and they love and care for you the same way. And for me, ever since having children, I don't know if it's the same for you, you then look at them in a whole different... They're like a superhero, really, to be honest. And if she hears this, she's going to be so happy. She's going to be like, you never told me all this. But they are kind of like a superhero, because I go home after work and within 2 hours, I say to my wife, I'm finished. Like, the kids have absolutely killed me. I've been on for 2 hours.
How you been doing this?
So for me, it's the most important thing. And obviously, as our dean teaches us, it's half of the dean. And there's a reason for that. I feel like if I had my wife and I got married much, much earlier, I would have been successful a lot earlier?
Yeah, I think we had this conversation, like, since getting married and having children, the barakah that you have is just like things that you cannot fathom and you cannot imagine to happen.
Yeah.
Like, generally in life, you play things out and like, oh, this is going to happen, you know, you try planning, but some things that just happen are just unreal.
And I think for me, a big thing is, as young males, we're susceptible to freestyling our life if we're single. So after work, you got people phoning you, do you want to come and chill here? Do you want to go there? And before you know it, you've finished work and you've chilled till 10 p.m. and you ain't done nothing, or you ain't done the task you was meant to at work. So for me now, days are waking up with my wife and kids, going home to my wife and kids, and working in between.
I think your whole mindset and dynamic just changes, because like I've ended up starting doing certain things and started enjoying them because of my daughter.
Yeah.
Like going to parks, and you know, like we went to Sharjah Desert Park, Children's Farm and things like that, and it's really nice.
That's your happiness. So your happiness now, my happiness depends on my wife and my children's happiness. 100%. And what I do, even when I'm at work, I'm thinking about them. Yeah. So like long term now, my goals and what I want to earn and where I want to go to, it's to what's going to be best for my family.
100%.
And I think that's another big difference that having the wife and children does. Yeah. That's your motivation, and obviously you're doing everything for them and to give them the best.
So this is a bit of a bonus. Tell us your revert story.
So you right back to the beginning.
Right back to the beginning.
So obviously, as I've mentioned, growing up, no religion, wasn't Christian, wasn't Catholic, wasn't anything.
What were your parents?
No, I don't know. No mention of anything. It's just never mentioned. So obviously, just growing up, never even thought about it. Really, I've never had to think of religion, God, anything. I've just floated through life, basically. So after going through everything I went through in life, started researching my own things. Nothing to do with religion, just in general, becoming more self-aware. And then at one time we used to go snooker up Digbeth. So I've gone snooker with my friends. I'd found out one of my friends reverted. So I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, honestly now I'm thinking he's gone insane.
Yeah.
Our friend's gone insane. He's lost the plot.
Who is this friend?
His name's Anthony.
Oh, Anthony.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, what's going on there? And we start having a bit of a debate. I'm questioning him.
Yeah.
He's coming back and forth. And then we're having this debate, and I'm coming with points to him that are so ignorant and so like I've got no knowledge of. I'm just spewing out whatever's coming to my head. And he's coming back to me with actual facts. Yeah. And throughout the argument, I'm kind of becoming aware of this. But I'm still, ego's there. I'm not giving up. I'm coming back with stuff even if it doesn't make sense. So off the back of that, I thought, no, I'm not having this. I'm researching this. I'm researching this. So I start researching, looking into, first I looked into, I don't know if it's strangely, I looked into the human body. And I started looking into DNA inside the human body, how it works. And I'm looking at how complex humans are and how the body works and how it's so like perfectly made. Everything's got a job that it does and they work in tandem, some parts of the body. And I'm looking, thinking, oh, like, can this happen by accident? Now I'm thinking common sense. Common sense, let's take my bias out of it. Can this happen by accident? So I'm getting to the conclusion like, I don't think this can happen by accident. So if it can't happen by accident, what does that mean? Got to have been created on purpose then. So now I'm at this crossroads where, oh man.
How old are you at this point?
Similar age, just starting the organisation. So I think, so I think...
Because I think 17, 18 we were at Hill together. And you were looking into it. And then we had the Ramadan League. And that was the first time we started fasting and you came to Ramadan League.
And I wasn't Muslim yet, but I was fasting. So...
Around 2018.
So I start looking into it and I start thinking, okay then, I've got to not just be ignorant and I'm going to look into it because at this stage now I'm doing a lot of self-development anyway. I'm really becoming self-aware. So I start looking into it, I'm thinking, okay, this is not accident. In this time, I'm having a lot of still back and forth with Anthony, asking him a lot of questions, finding out more. One thing was every single time I asked a question, I got an answer that I was completely at peace with, like, whoa, that makes so much sense. You know, once it got broken down to me. So the one time I thought I was really clever and I thought, I've got him now. I thought, because I think like Christians only pray on Sundays, etc.
Yeah.
So I was like, why does a God need you to pray 5 times a day to him, man? Why? Give me the answer.
Yeah.
And he's broke it down. It's not for God, it's for you. It's a reminder for you. It's a reminder for you 5 times a day. You're making yourself pure 5 times a day. If you may be about to do something you wasn't meant to and it's prayer time, it gives you a little reminder. So once he broke it down about the why you pray 5 times a day, I was like, that's so logical.
Yeah.
Because how many times a day are you maybe inclined to start doing something you wouldn't do or you're not meant to do? Or, But if you know you got prayer in an hour, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, that makes so much sense why you would actually pray multiple times per day rather than just say once on a Sunday, or because that's a big gap in between.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I kept getting these answers, and I'm like, oh. So I was like, all right then. Then I started actually looking into religion now. Yeah. So I started looking into religion, looked at Christianity, Catholicism, looked at a lot of them and what their core values are and what their core beliefs are. And every time I just found Islam trumping all of them in every aspect, sort of day-to-day living, beliefs. And the one thing that really, really stuck out to me, so I started going I'm watching a lot of Speaker's Corner in London. I was going to seminars on my own. So I was going to Islamic seminars. I wasn't even Muslim. I was just going to these seminars on my own, doing a lot of research, buying books. But the one thing, especially in the debates, was Muslims could always reference evidence of their point. So they could go to Quran and they could say, this is my reference or hadith. This is where I'm getting it from. I'm not just spewing it. And for me, as someone who looks at common sense and logic, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense that they've always got an evidence base behind it. It's not just an opinion. So Islam started to come to the fore of, that makes so much sense. Putting aside everything I've previously read in newspapers, news. Obviously, just growing up normal, I've been exposed to all the agenda and all the news and da-da-da. Oh, by the way, going back, sorry, I've always been heavy on conspiracy theories. So like 9/11 and that, I wasn't actually like, terrorists. I was in the camp of,
There's something going on.
So I wasn't, and growing up, I had a really diverse friend group. So I had a lot of Pakistani Muslims, I had Jamaican friends. I had a really diverse living in Erdington. My friend group was diverse, so I wasn't ever against any religion or race or anything. I just never actually thought about it. So kept researching, and I think the research went on for about 3-4 years. So I was like, again, I'm not doing something I'm not sure of. I'm not doing it because I'm getting married or I'm not.
Do you think in them 3 to 4 years, do you as a person align more with Islam? Or did Islam align more with how you were growing as a person?
So I would say it was aligning with a lot of the values. I was like, that's what I think. That's how I think. Like females being covered up. I stopped clubbing and stuff and stopped going out and I never growing up, I never really had girlfriends and stuff. Even though I didn't have a religion, I didn't like the way females dressed in the summer, exposed them. Like there was something in me as a person, I didn't like all of that. And when I started finding out, that's exactly what I think. I agree with that. That's how I feel like. Do you know, I think this is how life should be lived. I think this, so there was a lot of it where I'm like, whoa, this is, and while I'm growing, even if it didn't align exactly with me yet, where I'm getting to, I'm like, that makes sense though. I might not be there, but that makes sense. So a lot of it was just aligning, coming together. So I was like, okay, then keep researching. I'm not going to fully commit until I know I can fully commit. I'm not willing to, revert and then backtrack. It has to be something that I know is going to be a lifestyle from here on in, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And a lot of people give me good advice, like you don't have to jump straight in, it's like a cake. You have a bite at a time. If you eat it all at once, you'll be sick, because a lot of people have got misconceptions of once you become Muslim. A lot of people, I liked watching a lot of revert stories as well to hear how their experience was. So it was all just aligning. And then, as you know yourself, I started fasting, even when it was Ramadan, when I wasn't Muslim. I remember my first ever fast. True story, me and Az went Sakib's the night before. I had chips and chicken and a can of pop to close my fast. And the next day was going to be my first ever fast. So I woke up in the morning, summer day, blazing. I'm going to do the grass. Run the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. I've done the grass. Still not feeling too bad. It's still pretty early, like midday, 1 o'clock. And I think at this time, opening the fast was about 9 or something, like 9:20 or something. So I still had hours to go. hours. Obviously now, I've started lowering my coffee intake already. Ready. Because I know the process now of you need to prepare. Back then. So then I went out up Solihull with Anthony, my friend. Anthony, he was fasting and that. He was going to be fasting. So I'm there. I've gone to Solihull with him. We're both fasting. Now, it's just hit me. We were up Solihull shopping and all of a sudden, the headache I got was like someone hit me on the head with a shovel. I've got no energy, In the end, it's dropped me back home and it's still only about 6 o'clock. I've still got like 3 hours to go. But now, obviously, you're not meant to put yourself in harm if you're fasting. And obviously I wasn't even Muslim yet, so Ant's explaining to me, Cal, if it's that bad, you can do another day, I'm seeing it through. He said, okay, go sleep or something till it's time to open fast. So I've gone sleep run. I've woke up at about 9:10. One of my friends brought me some food round he'd cooked from his mum and that. It come to time to opening fast, I couldn't eat. Had that much of a headache and felt that bad. I tried to eat, I threw up everywhere. And that was my first experience of fasting and it was the most horrible feeling I've had. I've seen a lot of people fast and I've seen how they are when they're fasting. And I've seen the beauty of it and I thought, I really want to try it and keep trying it. And obviously people explain to me, your first 2-3 days will be difficult.
Your system's getting used to it.
Wait until you feel how fasting feels once you're in the groove of it and X, Y, Z. And because, you want me to be honest, because I said I'd do it, I was locked in. I'm a person, and once I say something, I'm locked in now. So I continued to fast, and then come to the second year of fasting again. Same thing, I wasn't Muslim yet, decided to fast. It was that year where I was doing my second year of fasting, and I'd been researching for a long time, and this is where it hit me. So I'm sitting there at home on my own.
In that period, obviously, you're looking into Islam, you're fasting for the first year, was there anyone there trying to give you like a push or a nudge or anything like that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say a push or a nudge. Ant really was the main person saying, look, because I kept saying, I believe everything, I can't disagree with anything. He's like, so what are you aiming for then? I'm saying, I don't know, I just haven't got that feeling.
I think obviously in a similar situation, I know people like that. They're probably more Muslim than some Muslims I know. They'll probably do more, inshallah, mashallah, they'll understand Islam. But it's just that last bit now. Just that.
I just couldn't, I don't know what it was. I can't.
Feeling.
So I'm saying, look, and again, you don't know how long you're going to live. You don't even know if you're going to live to revert. All of that. And I'm saying, I understand, but it's not. The feeling is not feeling. It's not there. Even though I agree with everything. And then one day it just hit me. One day I was sitting down ready to open my fast on my own in my front room. TV was off. I don't know why. I don't know why I was sitting there doing nothing. It was just soon time to open fast. So I was just sitting on the sofa and then I got emotional. Out of nowhere, I got this overwhelming feeling of emotion and just, it hit my heart that this is the truth. In that, Ron, I don't know where it come from, how it come at that moment in time, but I was just in my front room on my own and it hit me. And straight away I phoned Ant. And I said, Ant, we're going to the masjid tonight and I'm ready to take Shahada. And then he was obviously so happy. My barber, Sully, them two took me to Green Lane Masjid. Alhamdulillah. From then, took my Shahada. And then them two...
What year was that?
I want to say 2000 and coming up now to 5 years. So I'd say about 2020,
Just before COVID?
Yeah. And then obviously, alhamdulillah, COVID actually helped me a lot because I was in the house a lot and I was able to study a lot more, able to look into things still, be on my deen rather than just go back out into the wide world. But and then that moment I can't explain to anyone because it's only a personal experience. And the way it just hit me and made me emotional, I was nearly in tears just sitting on my own. And I think it was probably just a build-up of all the knowledge I've gained and knowing it's the truth, and then finally the realisation of it's the truth. And it was just beautiful that it was during Ramadan when I was fasting. I was in a fasted state and it just hit me.
If there are anyone out there that are looking into Islam, what would your advice be?
My advice would be, you don't have to be perfect, and that was one of my mistakes. Again, once you accept Islam, it's not about you have to change your whole self and you have to start wearing a thobe instead of a tracksuit and X, Y, Z. It's that if you know it's the truth, follow up on knowing it's the truth, because you never know when your last day is going to be. And for me, that'd be the biggest advice. We can all say we're going to do it next year or the year after or next week. You don't actually know if you're going to make it to that point. And us knowing it's the truth, in my heart, I want everyone to follow the truth.
Yeah.
And I want you to die upon
The truth.
Yeah.
So after you reverted, you kind of appreciate the fact that you've reverted and that you've got Islam now. Do you think a lot of people that are born as Muslims take it for granted?
In my honest opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll expand on that by saying I don't think it's intentional.
Yeah.
I think what it is, this world and this society sells you so much stuff
Yeah.
and makes it appealing
Yeah.
that if you're a Muslim and you're born here, you then are seeking to try some of these things, or you're looking, saying, oh, they've got that and we haven't got that, or we can't do that. It seems like a lot of, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. When really it's protecting you from so many issues. But I think when you're born into the religion, because you haven't experienced it and saw the dark side of it, you want to taste it and you want to say, oh, you know, I want to try that, I want to try this. And I think that's what it is. It's a lot of, and the way the society sells it to you, and because some things are so normalised, like drinking, being in relationships, these sorts of things, you kind of maybe feel like you're missing out as a Muslim. And I think it comes a lot too probably as well, how parents constantly are probably telling you can't do this, you can't do that.
So it's authoritative kind of.
And it's,
you want to rebel.
as young people, you don't have the thought of my parents have just got the best interest in me at heart. It's only when you grow up and you realise that, like, we have a family now. The reason you tell your daughter she can't do certain things is for her best interest, when to her it's probably the best thing ever that she wants to do. Like, my daughter's just started drawing on the walls. So I've had to say, you can't do that. But to her, it's like this big wall. But for me as a parent, I'm trying to protect my children. And I think a lot of parents, when they're trying to protect their children, parents see it as they don't want us to have fun. And I had it with my dad, not from a religious aspect, but he didn't allow me to go certain places or out with certain friends. It's only when I look back now that I can truly see what a blessing it was that I had someone stopping me from doing certain things. And I think this is why, again, inshallah, I want to live in an Islamic country, because I want my children to grow up where the Islamic lifestyle is normal. Not
this constant battle and trying to, you know, appease everyone and things like that. I really look like living there, and Sharjah's quite conservative, I'd say. And it's like you mentioned in the earlier, the fact that you can just pray Salah wherever you are. Wherever you are. You're in a mall, you can go pray Salah. You got no excuses to miss Salah there. Zero. And just like for kids as well, they can just do anything. They can go out safely, securely. Like my mate Kudi, he was in Abu Dhabi last week, and he was saying, he goes, kids went to watch a movie, and he goes, I didn't have to go there, watch it with him. I just told him, meet me here after, and that's it.
And it's so beautiful compared to here. You can't even send them to the front garden to get something, because you never know who's around or what's going on. And I think this is the trap that this society has got, is that the westernized world is so glorified on certain things that, again, like I said, growing up as a Muslim, you probably do feel like there's so many things all the others can do that I can't do. And obviously you can speak more to that experience, because I don't know.
It's different for us because we came from a very Islamic background. My dad and parents, and it was really different. I went to Islamic school in my secondary school, and all of this, don't get me wrong, but you see people that have gone into certain paths and done certain things. But like, I think maybe inshallah one day they will realise, and because they've seen that bad side now, so they know they don't want to go back to that dark side. But I think it is a case of people do take it for granted. Just generally, I think the emphasis where we live is not so much emphasis on Islam, it's more so everything else, and then Islam, how does Islam come into it? Whereas I think our mindsets are different, and I think you found religion, and religion is the forefront of your mind, everything else is secondary. And I think it's a mindset thing. And I think
it's a knowledge thing as well, whereas like you're saying you went to Islamic school, so that gave you sort of the knowledge base to know, why don't I do certain things? So I think if you're just getting told, you can't do that, but you don't know the reasons why, it's more like... Look, and that's why I say the emphasis on, like, people will nowadays
focus on the child's secular studies and what are they going to achieve in school. Send your kids to school for 7-8 hours, but not to mosque for 2 hours a day, or just to mosque for 2 hours. And then automatically you're telling your kids that your secular studies are way more important.
Yeah.
And that's just how I think the society we live in. And I think the whole system has just made it like that in a way as well, where you have to send your kids to school, yeah? The second thing is, it's got to a stage where both parents have to work. Third thing is then parents are working, doing commuting or whatever, and they're unable to take their kids to the school, and it's just going backwards.
And then who's actually raising your own children?
That's the biggest thing.
And
raising your children.
That's been the biggest question for me. And alhamdulillah, my wife doesn't have to work. Yeah. And that's always been one of my biggest things, that when I do get married, I want that to be the way my household is, because working in schools and seeing children in schools, they're at school, 9 till 3, let's say.
Yeah.
Parents are at work 9 till 5. Children go to bed 8, 9 p.m.
Yeah. You get an hour a day with your child.
Hour and a half. And in that time, you got to eat dinner, you got to shower. So then it's like your own children, when they become teenagers, and this is what I see a lot now, the parents haven't got that relationship to be able to bring them back in and bring them back.
They would confide in them and things like that.
That don't exist, that relationship. They'd rather speak to a stranger. I always say when I mentor, there's no way you should want to speak to me more than you want to speak to your own parents. Unfortunately, I know that's how it is, but I'm a nobody. You should, first and foremost, it should be your parents that you're part of call. And if you need further assistance or support or knowledge in a certain area.
You've got siblings that are similar age to you.
Yeah, and I think again, that's another thing, siblings. A lot of people come from single households and you haven't got any siblings, and you're finding friends and relationships from elsewhere. And like my wife comes from a family, she's got like 10 siblings. So friends are, you can have friends, but they're not really needed, because you've got your own family and they've all got the same morals. So you've got your family to work with and build with and have relationships with. And I think nowadays so much is on outside your house, your relationships, everything for young people, you're seeking from outside your home. And this is where the problems occur, because you'll look anywhere really, social media, elders within your area, wherever it is, you're seeking some sort of validation or some sort of attention, where what we're trying to create is your home is everything that you need, and we'll give you all the tools and equip you for the world. And then when you're at an age, the world's yours for the opportunities.
Callum, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on another inspiring episode of Evolve and Inspire. Remember that every great journey begins with a single step. And sometimes that step is simply believing in the possibility of change. To our listeners out there facing your own challenges, remember, your current circumstances don't define your future. Every person we feature on this show started exactly where you might be right now, at the beginning of their journey. If you've been inspired by today's conversation, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. You can also join our community and continue these conversations by visiting our website. Until next time, keep evolving, keep inspiring, and remember, it's not where you start, it's where you choose to go. This has been Evolve and Inspire. I'm your host, Huzaifa. Thank you for listening.